We're here at Indiana University Auditorium, home of more than 450 events a year and grossing over $2.5 million. But it's the Broadway events that bring the most magic to the stage. Come with me as we take a look from the show's theory to the contract to bringing it to the stage, as we look at Broadway in the spotlight. Director Doug Boer of the IU Auditorium explains the first few steps of bringing a show to the stage.
We work with a marketing intern here at the auditorium to determine all the shows that might possibly be available in the next season to come to the auditorium. And from that, we create a list and cull that list out to the shows that really might actually have a chance of playing here and that the artist would be interested in coming to the auditorium. So for example, if Barbra Streisand was on that list, we would take that out because Barbra Streisand, A, doesn't tour, B, when she does do a show, it's about $1 million guarantee, which we couldn't obviously make in a 3,200 seat facility.
Once a show is selected, the financial aspects are closely analyzed, making sure that the auditorium can make a profit on the production.
Essentially what happens is we start, depending on the show type, some shows are just a flat fee. And so they'll say, oh, to bring, X title or this comedian, it costs $30,000 or $150,000. And then we take that information and we add all the expenses of advertising, running the facility, paying the staff, and then figure out what ticket prices would need to be in order for that show to break even.
And we meet on a weekly basis to determine what we're going to do to promote the season. And then also, once we get closer to the shows, we figure out the best plan of action to promote each individual show that we bring to the auditorium.
John DeLong, stage manager of the IU Auditorium, explains the morning of a load-in.
7 a.m. in preparation for an 8 o'clock load-in, and that's just the house staff gets here an hour before the scheduled load-in time to unlock the building and get the lights on and get barricades up to keep people from parking where we need to be able to get trucks in and out. Just some preparation.
And so then we go into a more protracted negotiation with them over what all the expenses will be. In terms of the advertising and the building costs and the staffing costs, stagehands and labor and sound and lights that we have to rent and so forth. And we go through that process and come to an agreement, at which point we sign what we call a deal offer or a deal memo. And simply put, it's all the financials of the show, the day, dates, and times, and how we plan to expend our marketing money. And once we reach that agreement, then we actually cut a contract. So that can take anywhere from 2 to 6 months to get that finalized. From the time I'm interested in the show, or it kind of pops up on my radar screen, to the time that it's actually contracted, could be as long as 1.5 years.
The contract the contract is fully executed and signed off by both parties, and it lands on my desk. And I take that and read through it and pull out any information that is applicable to the staff. But then on the other side of the stage, or the stage and the backstage portion of it, is really taken care of by the stage manager, John DeLong, and he goes through all of that and sets the stage and hangs whatever he needs to hang before the show actually arrives, based on what's in the rider.
The cast, especially on the first night of a Broadway show, will have a sound check. And the front of house staff may be in the house at that point, but they have to kind of be quiet and unobtrusive while the sound check's going on. And when the sound check usually the sound check runs all the way up until doors open.
Once the show is complete, final contracts are signed and money is exchanged, as Doug Boer explains the settlement process.
Essentially what happens is all the information that's put forth in that contract, that financial agreement, then you go through and verify that all that has happened and collect and create backup for all the payroll and various charges that we have, and put that into a spreadsheet. And in a similar situation as the contract negotiation, you sit down with the show's representative, who's often the company manager or road manager, and go through that list of things and demonstrate through proof this is what we spent, and then arriving at the amount that will be shared as profit.
And there you have it, an in-depth look at what it takes to bring a Broadway show to the stage. From the concept to the contract, the marketing, to the backstage load-in, to the front of house implementation. and almost all of it nearly a year before the show ever takes place. Thanks for joining me on Broadway in the Spotlight.